It's Jeff here, the photographer's mentor. So in this live, I'm going live with Michelle. Now, Michelle is the photographer's mindset coach, and know Michelle for a while now, and she's fantastic at raising your positivity, getting you on the right track, getting you in the right mindset, and helping you overcome procrastination and self-doubt, and get a bit more self-belief and overcome that imposter syndrome. And these are all things that's very, very relevant to photographers and pretty much any creative. We do have a lot of self-doubt. It's usually ourselves that hold us back from being a success. And as Michelle says, success starts with you. It starts with yourself. And if you have the right mindset, if you have the right belief, then, literally the world's your oyster. You can go forward. And if you expect clients to value you and pay a lot of money for your services, you must first believe in yourself. You must first value yourself. And I struggled with a lot of mindset stuff. I struggled with a lot of depression. I went through a really rough patch about 7 years ago. And I found positivity and mindset learning through Amazon Audio. And I used a lot of books to try and get myself from the state of being severely depressed and wanting to chuck myself off a bridge to being like pretty much the happiest person in the world. I'm never miserable now. I'm always focused on the positives and going forward. And I'm quite happy to talk about my own struggles, because the more photographers and creatives understand about mindset, which is what Michelle teaches, the more you're going to give yourself a chance to really succeed and really drive your business forward. Because if you don't believe in yourself, your clients aren't going to believe in yourself. So I'm going to bring Michelle in now. She's got a little presentation for us. Take any questions as we go through, and I'll keep asking them to Michelle as well. And feel free to ask me any questions about my own struggles with self-belief. Hi, Michelle. You okay?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, very good, very good. Had a very productive week so far, anyway. So can you give us a little idea what this webinar is going to be about? What we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, so we're going to have a quick sort of look at the figures, which I think is going to surprise you on how many people are with you in having imposter syndrome, self-belief issues, things like that. And then we're going to have a look and chat about how really understanding yourself is super, super important. Because if you understand yourself, you can then move forward within life, within your business. You can work to the best of your ability. And also, you kind of stop comparing yourself a bit more if you actually understand who you are. And then we've got a little bit on beliefs as well. So we're going to look at some of the most common beliefs, and you might be surprised at some that come up for you. And we're going to be covering that too. So there's a few bits in there to go over.
Brilliant. And like I said, if anybody has any questions, pop them in the chat. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. As I say, I've just admitted to my own problems with sort of, self-belief and how I struggled with depression and believing in myself and getting myself back up from the depths of feeling really miserable. So if you have any underlying issues, if there's any areas that you really do struggle with, pop it in the comments. Me and Michelle will address this, And as I say, don't be shy. I think it's a thing that a lot of people, especially photographers and creatives, really do struggle in, and especially when it comes to selling our products as well, because I think we have that feeling that when we're trying to sell our own work, we don't value it as much as we really should. So
and plus we have an emotional connection, I think, to it.
That's right.
Emotional connection to our work, which makes it harder for us to.
Well, funny enough, Michelle is also in my private group, the Awesome Photographers group, and we put a post in there the other day, and it was because one of the group members had judged a client was going to ask her for a particular price on something, and she said, "Oh, well, I don't think the client's got much money." And I says, "Well, how do you get that?" And she says, "Well, because she's just starting out in business." I says, no, now you're just positioning yourself as like, oh, I'm just going to do like a small price for something. So I put this in the group and try to get everybody's views on this. And one of my clients, Andrew Whitaker, who used to be a manager of a venture studio, funny enough, he said that when he was a manager of a venture studio, he had no problem getting the sales. And venture used to charge an absolute fortune, didn't they, for some of the stuff they would do. But then when he left venture and he started up in his own business, he found it really, really hard selling his own product because he's not selling ventures products. And then another one of my clients in the group, Andy Whale, who's a very successful photographer, he's been going for about 25 years. He struggles to sell his own portraiture, but yet he's got a girl who works for him, a 19, 20-year-old girl, who absolutely smashes the sales because she hasn't got that connection with the imagery she's trying to sell.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So yeah, it's all about the self-belief. So have you got do you need to share the screen with me? Or
Yeah, it's just on my other, hang on a minute. I'm going to bring it over to here and bring you over to here, sorry. I wanted to make sure I was facing you, but I want to face there we go.
And in the chat where you're watching from today as well, and give us a shout and give us a wave.
Has it done it?
Hello. Yep, I can.
Yep.
So I'm just going to add that to the stream. There we are. Hello, Alan Green. How are you doing?
Great. Shall I just go through with it?
Yeah, just go through.
Okay, perfect. So one of the reasons I decided to concentrate on mindset is because it's actually 80% mindset. Most of our success from our business comes from mindset rather than the skill and the business side of it. If we have a more positive mindset, we find that we're less likely to give up when things get tough. We're less likely to, if we get rejected once, if we've got a really good and positive mindset and we know what we want and where we're heading, we're more likely to move on to that next rejection and just keep going. So mindset is actually 80% of your business. And that's something that I think is really important for people to know.
Andy's just asked if you can have a bit more volume, a little bit quieter. I don't know if you need to get a little bit closer to the mic.
I can do. I tried to get away from the mic because somebody told me that when I was close to the mic, there was some weird booming noises. Is that better?
Yeah.
If you need me to get any closer, I can do. Just let me know. So where does your mind take you every day? Do you tend to look at the negative or do you tend to look at the positive? Do you tend to believe you can or that you can't? Do you compare yourself constantly to others? Do you wake up and be in a let's do this mood, or do you kind of not want to get out of bed at the moment? Do you get to sleep straight away feeling accomplished, or do you lay there beating yourself up? Now, you'll actually be surprised at how many people are doing this. You are not on your own. 82% of adults have felt imposter syndrome at points in their life. 85% of people suffer low self-esteem. 55% of men and 56% of women do not think they are liked by other people. Think about that. That's like if 4 of you are standing together, 2 of you don't think the other 2 like them or the other 3 like them. That's like a massive percentage of people who are actually sat, and they're probably worried. You imagine you're stood there worried that that person doesn't like you and isn't going to get on with you. Well, they're stood there worried the same thing about you. So,
it's crazy when you put it like that, isn't it? Yeah.
Really, really crazy. 84% of the UK population has procrastinated, and 1 in 5 procrastinate every day. Stop beating yourself up. It happens in the whole world. Unfortunately, I think a big part of mindset of where we're at the moment is that the world we live in today really isn't designed for our mindset. It's designed to kind of sell us a lot of stuff, advertise a lot of stuff, and to tell us that without this thing, we will not be happy. Without the McDonald's, without the latest gadget, without the biggest TV, without the I don't own TVs, but they have the smart. I do have a TV, but it's an old one. You have the smart TVs now. Without the latest Xbox, we're not designed to be happy based on everyday things anymore. we're told a lot that we're not good enough if we don't have the newest thing, or we're not this level of success, or we haven't achieved this yet. And that really
And funny you
isn't
should say
right.
that, 'cause if you look at some of the, the marketing strategies of some of the big brands, and especially cars, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's like they don't sell the car, they don't sell the physics, the stuff that's under the bonnet and the wheels and stuff. They sell how that car will make you feel. But then some of the high end brands, like Mercedes, BMW, Jaguar, that sort of stuff, they sell how others will perceive you when you drive that car. So you're feeling like, oh, if you're not driving the latest BMW or the latest Mercedes, you're not adequate. You don't, and it's an all falseness, because when we're actually in the car, it just does the same thing as any other car. It's got wheels, it gets us from A to B, but we want it to look good on the outside so people notice us.
Yeah.
And again, that comes down to a confidence thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then you don't feel good enough because you don't have it, or you think you'll feel better if you do have it, and then you get it and you feel better for like 2 weeks, and
Yeah,
then there's something else you want to make you feel better.
totally.
And if we don't break that down and start looking at who we are underneath all of this stuff, then you will never be happy. You'll be happy for like a day or 5 days with this new thing. So that's something that's really, really important to kind of understand is you. And a lot of the stuff I teach is about working out who you are, because everybody's individual. We seem to be the world seems to try and put us in a box, and a box that we are not actually a part of.
Mm-hmm. So same with iPhone marketing. That's very true, isn't it?
Yeah,
iPhone and iPhone marketing. iPhone marketing is when they limit the supply of iPhones, they do it so everybody else gets one. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to feel undervalued because you don't have the latest. They don't flood the market with the latest one. They create a buyer demand because everybody wants what everybody else has, so they look just as good. And then they post it
they've
on social media to make themselves look even better.
they've got me at the moment because I want what's the new watch that's come out? The Apple Watch 7.
Right.
I want that. But it's not. I've never had an Apple Watch, so it's not. I want the newest one, but my Fitbit the strap keeps breaking, and I'm like, if I'm going to buy something and this keeps breaking, I have to keep paying to replace it. I'd rather get something that's going to last. But then, do you know if it's really going to last? So there's me trying to find excuses for wanting the iPhone, the 7 watch or whatever it is.
But it will make you happy.
Well, no, it won't. However, I just want something that counts my steps, because that will make me happy if I'm aiming for the amount of steps each day. We process around 74 gigabytes of information now in a day. 500 years ago, a highly educated person would have done that in a lifetime. This is how much information we're trying to take in, and we wonder why we can't make decisions, why we feel tired, and why we procrastinate. I mean, 500 years ago, which really isn't that long ago, that would have been a lifetime's worth of information in one day. We're now 24/7 connected to the world.
Mm-hmm.
We don't switch off. Nobody switch off anymore. They think they have to be connected to people, which is not true. We experience nowadays an interruption around every 8 minutes. The average interruption is about 5 minutes. And in an 8-hour day, that's 60 interruptions, leading to you losing 5 out of 8 hours of work.
Wow. And is that digital interruptions? Is that you mean like through text,
Your phone
emails?
going off, email going off, somebody walking up to you if you work in an office environment, all the different types of interruptions. Could even be your own interruption, like going to the loo, I imagine, as well. It's kind of a mix of all of that. What's the worst thing is it actually takes 24 minutes and something, so many seconds, to get back into the flow of the task you were doing before. So actually a 5-minute interruption in reality is nearly 30 minutes of interruption.
Wow.
So if you flick over and think, oh, I'll just look at my Facebook page in the middle of a task, you flick over to your Facebook page, take that 5 minutes, but you've actually just interrupted yourself for over 30 minutes of productivity.
It's
It's
crazy, isn't it?
crazy. But
And
yet our
all of
world,
that to look at a picture of what your mate had for tea.
yeah, and our world encourages this at the moment. It
Mhm.
says you need to multitask. You need to be able to do 101 things at once. If you're busy, you are actually celebrated as a person. Oh, you look so busy. That's amazing. You must be doing so well. That's how our world works nowadays. And on that note, it reduces productivity up to 40% when you multitask. You lose 40% of your productivity by having two things on the go at once.
Definitely. Yeah,
Reduce
I
it
can
down to
relate to
one.
that.
100% reduce it down to one. Not only that, but we also make an average of more than 35,000 decisions per day, which leads us to something called decision fatigue. We're not discussing this today, but you will find on a few of my webinars, and I'm going to be doing a blog post on this as well. Little things like I actually have about 7 different tops, different colors. I've got these tops like this, and I've got 3 of another top. But literally, they are my office wear. I don't even think. I just pick the next one out,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
that
I think I told
reduces.
you about this T-shirt now, but I got 16 of these T-shirts from Next. My daughter thinks it's hilarious, but they're a nice fit. I like them. You don't have to iron them; you just put them straight on. So I thought, hang on a minute, before they sell out, I'm going to buy 16. So I've even got a little reserve drawer with one still in a packet for when these start to get a bit holy.
And I've literally just got different colors of them, so that at least I've got different colors on different webinars. I feel as a woman that we're looked on more to wear different colors. Don't know why. But those type of things just reduce your decision making each day. I batch cook now, so I
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
decision one time a week of what I'm eating for the rest of the week, so that you're not sitting at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, having made 25,000 plus decisions, going, "What do I eat?" And then it takes you half an hour to decide what
yeah.
to eat because you're tired. Um, but all these things affect your mindset, every single one of them, and some of these figures just when I started studying and looking into these figures, they just amazed me of what we're trying to handle and deal with. Your success and happiness is different to the person next to you, so why compare? You can't define success. I looked up what the Oxford Dictionary said about success, and it says the fact you have achieved something that you want and have been trying to do or get, the fact of becoming rich or famous, or of getting a high social position. What's the secret of your success? That's what the Oxford Dictionary had as success defined. In my head, you actually can't define success, and I've heard this in a few books that I've read, and I 100% agree with this, because my success is different to your success, and it's different to Jeff's success, and it's different to the guy next door's success. You can't define success. Is it always being rich? Well, no, it's not. Is it always being famous? Well, no, actually, it's not. But yet, in this world, that seems to be what we think success means. And if you don't break down back to you and who you are as a person and what makes you happy, you will chase the dream of what success is and then find out you're not happy. One of you on this call could want to own a mansion. Somebody else might want to own a camper van. One of you might want a high street studio with staff, and the other one wants to work at home. I don't want to go over the VAT threshold. Somebody else, some of you might. you know, I used to be the person that chased the success that is meant to be success. And I am the person that went forward and went, right, I want the high street studio with staff. There is a thing in photography, I think, that when you first start out, you think that's what you're meant to aim for, is that for the portrait photographers, is that studio. And 4 or 5 years ago, I had a breakdown. I was working 7 days a week. I was working 12-hour days. I didn't love it. I wasn't being creative anymore. And I wasn't being the photographer I want to be. But that's the photographer you're meant to be,
Mhm.
almost. Um, Some of you are going to be early birds, and some of you are going to be night owls. I've got friends that don't get out of bed till 10 a.m., but they work till 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. I prefer to get up at 5 a.m., and I like to get work done. I actually hate getting up at 5 a.m., but I like getting up at 5 a.m. because I get work done. And as a person, I understand that is my most productive time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I might not like to get up at 5 a.m., but that is my most productive time. But if you sit there on social media and you're a night owl that stays up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and your friend, or like I've put up a few times in my Instagram stories, up at 5 a.m. doing editing, for some reason we then go, oh, I can't do that. Why can't I do that? Da, 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 and start complaining and start comparing ourselves to that person. But it's okay. It's just not who we are. We are the person who works until 3 p.m., 3 a.m. I personally, if I'm getting up at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, I have to be in bed by 10. That's when I have to be in bed. So you guys that are up until 3 o'clock in the morning editing, and that's your productivity time, great. Because you are then doing what I'm doing at 5 a.m. But yet you sit on Facebook and you think, oh, well, what, she can do that and I can't. And you start putting yourself down. And I think it's really, really important that we understand that social media people mainly show, what the best part of their life is, and they're a different person. I hate mushrooms. Someone else might love mushrooms and have healthy meals with mushrooms in. Why should I sit there and go, oh, I can't be healthy, I don't eat mushrooms? All of us are different. And I think the more you learn to understand who you are, the more you don't feel the need to compare, because you understand your strengths and you understand how you work and what's best for you.
And I know that my strength is getting up on a morning. I have what I call my 4:44 club, so I get up at 4:44. That's what time my alarm goes off, and from that time till probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, it's minimal distractions. The Wi-Fi is off, and that's when I sit down and I do my deep work, my book writing. I sit in a comfy chair. I've got a candle on, one of these woodwick candles burning, gives off a nice smell. I'm really happy, and I get so much done. But I know that literally, after, and we were just saying before we started this, yesterday afternoon, my first call yesterday was 5 in the morning. By 4 o'clock, I actually fell asleep at my desk. I was sitting there with my laptop, and I woke up at like 5, and I was wrecked. But I know that come sort of 9 o'clock, I'm useless. I need to be in bed by 9. But there's other people I know who work their most productive is midnight till 2 o'clock in the morning, and they'll fly through it. So just because it works for one person, it doesn't mean. And I think another thing is everybody's body clocks are wired differently, aren't they? So you can't, if you're not wired up to be more in person, you're just going to kill yourself trying to get up early in the morning and do it. Make your productivity what fits in with you.
And that's one of the big things I always made sure that I was going to do with all the stuff I talk about in my training, is that I give them ideas, and I give you guys ideas of things you can do. But I want you to look at, does this work for me? This doesn't work for me. Okay, I'll try this one instead. Because I think that's super, super important, that you just have to understand you, and what works for me isn't going to work for you. Yeah, it's really important.
Svetlana's just said, her big victory was understanding that when she's useless at creating content on the morning, but she's good at editing photos. So I think you can change your body clock around stuff. So if you are useless, do the stuff that doesn't take, it doesn't take a lot of brain power. You can put an audio book on, listen to some music, edit photos first thing in the morning. But then when you need full focus and attention, then, and if that's your nighttime thing, leave your blog writing and your social media posts till the nighttime and write the one for the following day the night before.
Yeah, I'm better in the afternoon at doing the editing or things like this. I actually really enjoy doing this in the afternoon, because I like chatting and doing that, whereas in the morning it's more the full-on brain power of writing stuff and doing the websites and the LinkedIn and all of that stuff. So yeah, it does make a difference. When the important things to understand about yourselves. So these are things that are good. If you have a journal, I really, really do highly recommend having a journal. I actually posted on my LinkedIn the other day about there was like 10 reasons of why you should journal. Um, I am not a very good journaler. I always put it off. But I've actually done commitments. I'm now, instead of doing goals each month, I now have commitments. And one of my commitments is to journal every night, and do gratitude every night. And I've been doing it, actually has made a difference. But with those journals, you can then look at these areas and start writing them down and start assessing yourself so you can understand yourself more. So it's things like what makes you happy. So you write down what the happiest moments of the day was. You sit and say, right, what does success look like for me? What if you took yourself into a day in the future and it was exactly as your life you wanted your life to be? What does that actually look like for you? What are your values? You know, what looking at, and you'll notice this by making notes of things that you find are important to you throughout the day. Like if you're given a choice and someone says, okay, your sister is having a birthday party on X day, but you've also got an opportunity to do something with for your work that's really high value. If you sit and actually think which one would you like to do from the heart, that will tell you whether the business is higher than the family or the family is higher than the business. And I mean, there's many, many, many different values that you can come to. And I'm just picking one. And I know that's kind of a hard one because it is family, but everybody has a different value. And certain parts of the business might be a higher value than certain parts of your family or your friends, or like friends for me is a high value. I would, I would cancel a lot if a friend was in a bad place and I
Mhm.
would want to be with them. That is who I am. That's my high value. But for other people, that's not a value. You know, their value is something else. So understanding those values will help you live a truer and happier life in general. And you'll stop comparing, because you might see somebody on holiday every week in a new place, but actually your value is to be at home with your family,
Yeah.
and that person's value is to travel. That's
Yeah.
okay. You don't need to compare them, because actually you're living your value.
And Nick Neal's just asked what is gratitude. So like when you're talking about values, your values can tie into your gratitude. So one of the things I do every morning is I get up and I read. There's a great book called the Daily Stoic, and it's about stoicism and about don't get taken off by what's on social media. Don't get taken off by what's on the news. Focus on the things in your life that you can control. You don't worry about Brexit. You don't worry about COVID. You don't worry about who's in politics. You worry about what you can actually do something about. And then when I sit there and in the morning and I've got the candle burning and I'm sitting in my comfy chair and doing my work, I spend a bit of time before that being grateful for what I've got. So I've been grateful for living in a beautiful place in Northumberland, grateful for having a beautiful daughter who I've got such a really good bond with, and grateful for the friends I've got, the memories I had when I was in the Navy, lots of stuff like that. So your gratitude for what you've got now, not what. It's about appreciating what you have at the moment. It's good to set goals and get excited, and goals drive you forward. But at the moment, you still probably have a hell of a lot in your life to be grateful for. That in that case, it's sort of like not making happiness a journey. Happiness is a state of mind now, but success is the journey. But there's nothing stopping you being happy, even if you haven't got to the success point.
And just enjoying the journey, I think, isn't
Yeah.
it? And can I just say, I don't appreciate that I've just written down another book to add to my list. Yes.
Well, the thing with I'll go and get it actually, and I'll bring it through. The Daily Stoic, you only read one page a day. That's it.
Okay.
So it's literally, it takes you about 2 or 3 minutes to read, but it gets you up into it gets you really thinking. It's a really good sort of like positive mindset sort of book.
I for my gratitude, I have to write eight. I did a bit of research, and eight looked like a really, really good number to do. So I do eight, and I do mine at the end of the day. And it was part of the book, The Joy of the Ordinary. So I'll add a book to everybody's list as well.
Brilliant.
And it was about appreciating everyday ordinary things. So I have to write 8 gratitudes from that day that I've just had that are different. And they have to be almost moments rather than, like I can't just put, oh, I'm grateful for my friends. I will put, I'm grateful for Kat for sending me X message today that made me smile.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to do 8 of those a day. I'm happy for, I don't know, what was it last night? There was something to do with the lights that I put up in my bedroom, and it just felt all cozy, and I was happy for the
Yeah.
cozy feeling. But you're really trying to like hammer down these little things in the day so that you're appreciating those really small things. Because we get very used to things. If, for example, we fly first class, for the first time we fly it, we're going to really appreciate it, and we're going to be grateful, and we're going to love it, and it's going to be this amazing, happy experience. But when we've then flown first class 20 times, we lose that gratitude for it
Mm-hmm.
and that joy in it. So it was about pulling back and finding the joy in these little tiny things throughout the day, that I am now challenging myself to do every day. But gratitude is huge. You should do it all day, every day anyway. But yeah, that's my one. So awareness is key. And I mentioned getting a journal and doing a daily note. Here are some other questions. So I kind of gave you some at the beginning with the kind of bigger questions, looking at the
Mm-hmm.
values, the beliefs. But what did you do well today? What held you back today? We've done the grateful. What distracted you today? That's always a really good question to ask yourself at the end of the day, because whatever distracts you from the day is then going to be something that may distract you every day, and you want to start cutting those distractions down so that you're more productive, and you don't lose as much time with those little tiny distractions. When were you most productive today? And you can actually write, there are several different stages of the brain, and you will be different types of, not people, but there'll be a section of time where you're kind of like that creative, you can write the content, you're doing that, just like we were mentioning earlier. And then there'll be a time where you'll find that editing's the most easiest, and you'll find a time where you can do phone calls to clients the most easiest. And it's a really, really good idea to start looking at these areas of time. And well, I did that in the afternoon and it felt really good and I got a lot done. When you sit at the computer and you find yourself still staring at the same screen, the same bit of text you've been trying to write for the last 2 hours, this is not your most productive time. You need to make a
Mm-hmm.
note. This time is time to go for a walk, or this time is time to go and batch cook your lunches, or this is the time to go and sit in the garden or read a book for half an hour, whatever that is. But you need to make sure that you're making note of this so you can work around it, especially because that's why we're self-employed, guys. We became photographers. We're self-employed so we can get the most out of our days, and so we can live a better life and be happier. But without understanding ourselves and our productive time, and where we get distracted and what we do well and what holds us back, we will never move forward into that happy life. We will just get frustrated with ourselves because we feel like we should be running at 100 miles hour a day, because that's what the world tells us to do, and we really aren't that. I shoot 1 day a week. I shoot every Sunday. That is my aim. My Sundays are my shoot day. I have Mondays where it's either an office day or I have it off. I have Friday that's an office day and I have it off. I understand that I need these blocks of times at home, or I am not very good with other people or doing stuff. If I have 2 or 3 weeks where I'm traveling and shooting all over the country, I then need several weeks at home because I need the balance. And I understand that about myself. And I think if you don't, you can do what I did, which is have a breakdown and realize you're sat in a life that you physically and mentally can't cope with. So yeah.
And
Did you
I
grab
think,
a
Andy's just asked how do we deal with the distractions. I was just, for me, one of the big things is that time management and getting up at the right time. And because I do set myself, I am quite hard on myself and I am quite sometimes that can be quite unpleasant with myself. I get, I get angry with myself. Jeff, you should have done this. You haven't achieved. When I've probably achieved quite a bit in the day. So what I find is when I get up, for me, my most enjoyable, happy time and grateful time of the day is my morning coffee and sitting in that comfy chair. So what I do is I get up, come downstairs, I go into the living room, I light this woodwick candle, which crackles away and gives off a really nice smell. And it's even better this time of year when it's dark on a morning, and I put the sort of like table lamps on, go through the kitchen, whack the coffee machine on while the dog's out, run around the field, come back in, and then I go into the living room with my coffee, pick up the laptop, I read my daily Stoic book. So this is the daily Stoic book. So there's only one page, and I highlight quite a few pages and fold them over, and go over stuff that really means a lot to me and is really interesting. And then I pick up the laptop, and then I do my work for that particular day. And like for the past 3 weeks, it's been writing this new book that I just finished yesterday and got off to the copywriter. And funny enough, this book is about journaling and routine and stuff like that. But I'll work for about an hour. But the Wi-Fi is off. My mobile phone is on silent, and I actually put it on the other settee at the other side of the room. And then I just sit and do this work. But because I've got the coffee, because I'm not in the office here, I'm in the living room in a really comfy chair. For me, it doesn't feel like I'm doing any work. It feels like I love it. I'm really happy, and I've got myself in the mindset that I'm enjoying it. And I will plod on with that task and go all the way through till I've done my word count for the day or more and finish that chapter. And I will not go back and start rereading what I've written until I've finished, because that is an interruption. The chance to go back and that takes us. So the idea is to get what's in here down onto a Word document, and then I'll go back. So I won't even interrupt myself. So I won't let anything interrupt. There's no, the Wi-Fi is off, the phone's out of the way. I'm sitting, I'm not going to get out. I've been to the toilet before I sat down. I've got my coffee. I don't need to get up again. Now I just work purely. And if I do that for an hour, 90 minutes, I'm pretty content with myself for the rest of the day. I know the rest of the day might go to pot, and I'll be really busy with calls and speaking to clients, but I've got something done that's going to take my business forward, and it's going to get me to where I want to be, or get me to what my goals or my vision is for the future.
Yeah. It's the best way. One of the things, so I'm similar but not quite the same, because I do it throughout the day. My emails are actually turned off. They only come in when I open them. They're not in the background. They're physically not there. On my mobile phone, it goes the other end side of the room, and I will check it every time I finish a certain set of tasks or a certain thing that I'm working on, and then I'll go and have a look. Even on my phone, I am not logged into my emails, so they don't ping.
But funny enough, when I got my new phone a couple of months ago, I couldn't set my email up, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it. So I don't have email on my phone. I have to go on the laptop to check them.
Even my business Facebook and the business Instagrams, none of them there's no notifications on my phone. I don't allow any of, the only notifications I get is if I get a missed call or a message or a text message or something like that.
Yeah.
They're the only notifications I have. So actually I go in and then check Instagram twice a day, maybe 3 times a day. But because I'm not getting notifications constantly, I don't feel like I need to check it, which is massive for me. So I have no notifications at all anywhere. I also take the watch off. So I've had the Fitbit, that goes away. I take it off when I'm sat at my office desk, because again, if it buzzes on my wrist, it's a distraction. There's a do not disturb mode on it as well, but it actually annoys me when I'm typing, so I find it easier to take it away. So little things like that. If you work from home and you've got people around you, I have been told that having a sign either on your back or on your desk where they understand there will be consequences, like having to do 30 push-ups if they disturb you when that sign is on, helps. Or they have to do the washing up for the next 7 days. I don't have that problem, but if you do, that is an option. You give them things that they'll have to do if they disrupt you, specifically when you have something on your desk to say, I can't be interrupted. So that was a good hack that I heard.
Funny,
I wish I could
my
taste it.
I have a mentor as well. I just recently signed up to a mentor about 2 or 3 months ago because I always, I spend all my time mentoring people, but nobody kicks my backside, and that's something he does. He says when his office door is shut, people know do not go in under any circumstances unless the house is on fire. The rest of the time you might have the door ajar or half open, but when it's closed fully, the family don't disturb him, and that he's usually in that routine of writing his book or doing something. So I think that's a real key thing is to not break that cycle of, like you said, of interruption. And incidentally, I don't have a ringtone on my phone because my phone is permanently set to silent. Because the only people who can ring me is like people who want to speak to me, especially for business, have to book into the online booking diary, and the only other people would probably message me and say, "Jeff, what you up to?" But if it rings I think it's 2 or 3 times in sequestration, then it will actually divert and then ring through. So if there is like a family emergency and somebody's trying to get in touch with you, it will actually ring. But and plus a lot of the stuff now you get is rubbish on your phone anyway, isn't it? You get spam calls all the time.
All the time. We're in an age now where none of us answer the phone. We just look at this random number that's ringing us,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we stare at it till it stops, and then we go and look it up. Oh, I think it's hilarious. But yeah, they're the kind of tips and tricks for time management. If you think you can't, you won't. If you think you can, you will. We've all heard this. We all should have know this quote in some way, shape, or form. But it really, really is true. So the biochemistry of belief. Beliefs originate from what we hear and keep on hearing from others ever since we were children and even before that. The sources of beliefs include our environment, events, knowledge, past experience, and visualization. And that's visualization because quite often we don't remember an event perfectly. We sometimes add our own parts to the event that actually didn't necessarily actually happen, or our own feelings kind of change the way we think it happened within in our brain. One of the biggest misconceptions people often harbor is that belief is static. But nothing can be further from the truth. Beliefs are actually a choice, and we have the power to choose our beliefs. Our beliefs become our reality. And that's the official description of beliefs. There you go, guys. It can be changed if
Ah,
anybody's thinking it can't.
it totally can. Sometimes some of these beliefs, like a lot of my original beliefs, I struggled with, and made me very self conscious as a person. Actually, when I was 6'2", 15, 16 stone guy, that I was still conscious of and still really sort of have had issues about. A lot of these beliefs actually stemmed from when I was like 9 to 14 year old, when I was bullied as a kid. But it's imprinted in your brain, and even though they aren't true, in the childhood things that were said, you actually do take some belief towards them. And it was, it's about reprogramming and re-understanding that you're not that person that you thought you were.
No. Why do we choose beliefs that hold us back, that end in self-sabotage? Well, unfortunately, when we accept something that it's actually stored in our subconscious brain. So it's a part of our brain where we're not necessarily looking at it and aware of it every day. It just happens. Now, this makes our beliefs become automated unless we start trying to become aware and challenge them. And this is where having that journal, writing down awarenesses of beliefs that hold you back, or things you say to yourself in your head, quite often they are the belief, like, I can't do this, or I'm not good enough. I've got a list of beliefs next for you. Other things we need to start being aware we're doing. That's the first step. Awareness is huge in mindset. Oh, all of it is about awareness, and then it's about wanting to change what we're then aware of. But without the awareness, we can't make the changes that we need to. But as a child, based on a 1 year old, you are told no more than 400 times a day in various ways. No, don't touch that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do this. 400 times a
Wow.
day, our brain hears that. And we wonder why we sit here as adults going, no, I can't do that. No. No. Like, it's crazy. We've been literally programmed to be negative and to look for the negative from a kid.
Mhm.
That's what's happened to us. So, I mean, here is just a quick list of beliefs and fears. One of the things you need to sit down and do is, if some of these resonate with you, is say to yourself, is it real? Is it true? Where did it come from? And the last thing that will help you is go look at examples that make it not true. And by that, I mean, for example, if one of your things is something like money doesn't grow on trees, or life is supposed, if one of its life is supposed to be hard, go and read the 4 Hour Work Week. That's a book. I can't remember exactly who it's by. I've read it before ages ago. Like, he does 4 hours work a week, and he's got money and he's brilliant, and he doesn't work hard. So go look for these people, or successful people. If some people, I know a lot of people have a belief that is that successful rich people are horrible and mean and don't do nice things. Like, I know a lot of people that have that kind of fear or belief, because people have judged people that are more successful than them when they were in their childhood and they picked up on it.
Mhm.
Then go and look for the famous people that help people every day, that give to millions and billions to charity and things like that. Look for those ways to reassure your brain that actually they're not true. But here's a few. I am not good enough. This has actually been a good big one for me, and still is a big one for me, and I'm working really hard on that. I've actually read a really good book called I Am Enough, and I've been doing a lot of techniques in there. There is never enough time. Also, one that I do. I don't have the experience. I will never be good at this. Everyone else is doing better than me. When I am successful, I will be disliked. Everyone is watching and judging me. To make money, you have to work hard. I am someone that struggles with money. Other people know better than me. My fears are warnings, not just the fact you're coming out of your comfort zone. They're telling you should never ever do it, which usually isn't true. If people around me struggle, I should struggle. This is a big one. If your circle of people around you all struggle and complain with life, you will feel like you have to do the same, because you want the connection with the people around you. And to keep that connection, you have to be having the same discussions, the same struggles as they are having, because otherwise you feel like you're not connected with
Yeah.
them. So
And,
really,
and
really
funny
watch
enough,
out for that.
Nick Neal's just basically said that there, that if you surround yourself with, people who are trying to put negative thoughts in your mind, you need to maybe move away from these people. And also, I think the reason is, when people do put negative thoughts in your mind or do put you down, it's their fear that they don't want you to succeed, because then they'll feel even more inferior themselves. So they're not trying to put you down. They just want you to, they don't want you to get any better, because they're happy with you where they are. So they'll try and put negative thoughts into your mind to keep you in that position.
Yeah, they really do. Every time I try to change, I fail. Well, that's probably because you give up if you think that's true. If you didn't give up at the change, you wouldn't fail. But because you've got that belief, that's one of those circle beliefs that will just make it keep happening and happening.
Yeah.
Everything feels harder for me. Life is supposed to be hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. And then there's kind of the fears. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not good enough? What if they hate me? I could fall on my ass. What if they find out who I really am? This is a big one. A lot of people are scared that I mean, that's kind of part of the imposter syndrome side of it, is that they're not comfortable with who they am. You don't understand your own values. So you're then thinking, well, if they find out that really I'm this person that's not good enough, what's if they find out that, oh my god, they're going to hate me, they're not going to want to work with me. If they find out that I'm the person that feels like I can't do it, again, they're going to judge, they're not going to like me, because you think who you really are all these beliefs and all these negativity stuff, which actually isn't true. So that's kind of one of those circular ones you have to be careful of as well. Chasing your own dream. People have fears of that. Setting the wrong goals. Doesn't matter. Usually you learn enough from the wrong goal and you head down that path to soon find out it's the wrong goal, but you might actually take a lot of things from that path that ends up being the correct path for you. For example, January, I decided to do a membership program. I was very, very silly in a way that I decided to try and be everything to everyone and do photography, marketing, like it was just everything. It didn't work. I never wanted to do it. I wanted to do mindset. I love mindset. I study it. I find it fascinating. I love studying the brain. But I ended up doing that. I went down the wrong path. But what it did do is it built me connections. I learned how to create a platform with videos and content and all sorts of other stuff. And I learned all these things along the route that I can now use on this path. So it doesn't matter what path you head down, you will often learn a lot of stuff that you can take from that path, which will take you on the next path. So you're not going to go back down the path, you're going to cut across to the other
Yeah.
path, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Totally. Yeah.
So it's okay. And plus, you'll always question yourself if you don't try the goal, was that going to be the right place for me to head? They might reject me. Yes, they might. I heard a brilliant thing the other day, and it said instead of your goal being to get something like a book published, change the goal to being rejected by 20 book publishers. And get excited every time you get that rejection, because you're almost at your 20, which means you're trying, and it
Yeah.
means that you're getting close to the one that's going to say yes. And I sat there and I thought, that is so clever. I could actually feel myself getting excited about saying, I want 10 people to say no, I don't like you. It's weird, but it
Yeah.
like it changed the psychology of it for me, and I thought, brilliant, I love that. Saying no to people, that used to be a big thing for me. It is okay to say no. I might look stupid, scared to ask for what you want, fear of taking time for you. Never be afraid. You can't run a successful business without having the energy, and to do that you need time for you. You need to be on it 24/7. If you have a fear that you need to be on the social media or answering your emails 24/7, just remember there is a period of time that you photograph, usually an hour, maybe two. For me, it's actually, I do a 4 hour shoot with my automotives. During that 4 hours, I will not look at social media. I will not look at my emails. Nothing happens. So it's not going to happen if you spend 4 hours at your office desk doing it. You know, they're expecting you to be busy. As long as you don't reply to them in 3 weeks' time, you don't have to be on it 24/7.
Yeah.
Letting people down, and again, life is supposed to be hard. I obviously think that's a big one because I put it twice.
And if anybody else has a favourite out of there, I think some of the ones that I've potentially overcome is that you have to work hard, and I don't think you do. You have to work smarter. You have to work more productively, but you don't have to necessarily work harder. In fact, I'm working less than I ever was, and I have the flexibility as well. What about yourself, Michelle? What's probably your favourite out of those?
Well, the two I'm still working on is that I'm not good enough, and that there is never enough time. They are the two that I work really hard on at the moment. But I've overcome so far the saying no to people and being worried about people liking me. I'm past that now. Um, and again, the life is supposed to be hard. Do you know what? I grew up watching the people around me, and it was hard on all the adults. And that one's been a big thing for me too. So there's quite a few in there. I wrote most of these thinking about me and my life, so so yeah. You are you, and you are unique. I have no idea how I'm doing on time, so this was kind of the end, and I think I've done about all right because it was about 45 minutes, wasn't it, an hour? These usually are, so
Yeah.
that was a lot to cram in.
So you've got a free, is it 5-day mindset workshop challenge coming up? Is
Yep,
that right?
coming up. It starts on Monday, so it's not very far off at
Next
all.
Monday. Brilliant.
Yeah, the 18th. And we do a live every day. You don't have to join, you can watch the replay. It's going to be at midday UK time, this particular one. There is worksheets as well for you to do each day. So you've got challenges and worksheets, and there's going to be a few prizes for a few people this time as well. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. So yeah, so it's just to help you get started.
I've just put the link down there. So it's mindset, self
Thank
belief,
you.
and it's the photographersmindset.com/free mindset workshop. So so if we come along, what can we expect? And so you sign up before Monday at Monday lunchtime, British
Yep.
summertime.
You'll get an email inviting you over to the Facebook group. There's two different ways to watch. You can either join the Zoom live, or you can watch it live in the Facebook group. It's entirely up to you. I'll be on both at the same time. And you'll get a printed out worksheet where you'll be working towards certain tasks for the next day. And I'll be covering subjects each day and getting you to really just start on the route of clearing out your mind, looking at the different beliefs, looking at the things that you need to be doing to create space to be successful within your life. So yeah, it's really good fun actually. We had a good time. We do sometimes go off on a tangent, but only because people ask me questions, and I think sometimes they're the best things. That's why it's all live, because I love it when people ask different questions and want to go off. And I can move this now, so I'm looking at you, can't I? Want to go off and chat about things. I think it's a really good thing.
And I think that like Alan Green had posted right at the very beginning, saying he himself struggles about what other people think, and sometimes having feelings of not feeling good enough and stuff. But he says it makes him feel better when other people are talking in a discussion like this, And I've like it says, I'm really happy and open to talk about my depression and and my self doubt and self belief. And I think when people put it out there and do talk to other people, then they suddenly realize, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not alone. Even some of the people who I've read so many books by stars and famous people, and recently one of a brilliant one I read was called The Fury Method by Tyson Fury, and about how he trying to take his own life, and how he suffered from depression and suffered from body anxiety because of his weight and having a dad body, and everybody around him, elite athletes and boxers with amazing bodies, and he's got a dad bod, and you don't believe that somebody that successful, with millions in his Ferrari, was driving along in his Ferrari at 130 mile an hour and was going to kill himself because he couldn't cope with it. So, but that's a really, really inspiring book, And so when you listen to stuff like this, it makes you think you're not on your own, and there's plenty of other people who they're probably just waiting for you to say something,
and
you
it's a
to come
really
out.
nice safe space in the Facebook group, because you can post your own experiences. People are posting stuff that they're doing and working on, and the group doesn't go away either. It's every time I run the work 5-day free, you can rejoin at any point. It's just in the group. So
Yeah, brilliant. And obviously, it's aimed at photographers. So we're talking about something we all because obviously it's not a general mindset group. It's a group for photographers who are the ones who really do struggle with self belief, and find it hard bigging ourselves up because of our own creations, and don't think we. And I think as we're photographers as well, we are very, very inclined to looking at other photographers, imagining that we're not as good as them, and I want and we. Will you ever be totally happy with your work? I don't know if you ever will.
I
You'll
don't think you
always pick
ever
faults
will
with it.
be.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us photographers will ever. I kind of always think my best picture is probably the next one I'm going to take.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
almost the way I look at it. And as I've got to a place where I am happy with my work and my photography, I love what I do, but I will always strive to be better. So as long as I am improving my photography, I don't care what others are doing.
Yeah.
I just concentrate now on making sure my
Mm.
next photograph, my
Mm.
next time I click the shutter, is the best time I've done, and that I've learned and I've taken more from it. And actually, honestly, it's a really, really nice place to be.
Mhm.
Because when I enter competitions and stuff now, when I entered them when I was beginning, I would have such an emotional attachment to the results of the competitions. And now I don't, which is fascinating.
And it's
I
like,
still want to do well in them, but
yeah.
I'm not having an emotional attack at
Yeah.
me.
And how many other people would be looking at your pictures going, "Oh my god!" And I've seen your work, Michelle, and your work. Your work is absolutely stunning. Your work is phenomenal. But as you say, it's a very hard thing to overcome when you come completely judging yourself. And I remember years ago doing a photo shoot in the studio when we used to have the boudoir studio, and we had a guy come in who wanted some portfolio work done for his personal training. And he came in and we're doing some shoots, and then he took his top off, and the guy had an 8-pack. He had like my dream man's body. I was like, oh my god, I wish I could look like that. He's me, like hardly eating anything, going to the gym like twice a day and stuff like that. This guy looked absolutely terrific, amazing. So we did the pictures, and then he went, oh, can I have a look on the back of the camera, Jeff? So that shows him in the back of the camera, and he's like, oh my god. And I was like, what's the matter? He went, oh my god, I look so puny. I look so small. He says, can we redo them again? And he got down. He was banging out sets of press ups. So we had to redo the shoot. But to him, in his mind, and I was just like gobsmacked. So he was judging himself. He wasn't good enough, even though to me, I was like, he was literally zero body fat. He had muscles on his muscles. He had an 8-pack, but he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. He hadn't. So I think and possibly things like social media and Instagram and stuff like that is putting that thing in his head.
Yeah, I think social media is really good for us from a business perspective, but it's really, really bad from a browsing and comparing and people only put the best up. People will take 50 selfies and they're going to put the best selfie up.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting there comparing to their best selfie. But they're probably looking at their best selfie thinking, oh, I still need to lose X amount. I need to do this.
Yeah.
I need to do that. Yeah, you saw the figures at the beginning. Most people are comparing themselves. Most people do have that imposter syndrome of not being good enough.
But I think obviously if we can get, if you guys can get over to try your 5-day challenge, you're going to be in with a load of other photographers and all friends, and it's all about creating the mindset. And obviously, me and you have spoke quite a few times over the past year, haven't we? And done a bit of work together. And Michelle really does know what she's talking about. And Michelle's had some experience where she's undervalued herself in the past and come through it as well. So these thoughts can be eradicated. You can learn to manage your time, and you can learn to be a lot more positive, and ultimately just really happy in what you've got now. And that's what your whole program's about, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you know what? That's what the most important thing is. I'm reading a lot about hedonic something. I can't remember the second word. And it's about how we chase for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And this is how our world is at the moment. And we need to, it's really important that we just find our happiness in every day, and we start becoming happy, because we never will be if we keep chasing. And I think it's important that we're happy. It's important that we are aligned and enjoy our life and our business. What's the point to it all if we don't?
Yeah, totally. And be happy with what you've got at the moment. Get yourself into that right mindset. But this has been fantastic. We've had some brilliant feedback from everybody. Loads of people saying thank you, loads of comments there. And obviously, if you do have any questions at all after we come offline, if you want to pop them in the news feed, both Michelle and myself will pop back over. If you've recently just joined this, you can head back over to my own personal hashtag, creating successful photographers, and then you can just watch the replay of this at any time. So my hashtag there, creating successful photographers. If you go over and you follow that, you'll find the replay of this, and then you can just watch it. Fantastic. Thank you.
And watch all the other stuff, because there's so much amazing content on there, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you, Michelle. And get yourself signed up for Michelle's 5-day challenge. And as I say, have a fantastic week. Stay happy, guys. Be positive. And Michelle, thank you once more for coming on.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks again, guys. Bye now.
Bye.